Hello and welcome, fellow Awsomologists, to Awsomology. I'm Sue.
And I'm Ben, and in this episode, we're sitting down with Andrew Weisz, CEO of Finden Marketing in Duluth, Minnesota. Thanks for being here, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, well, we were more excited when we thought you could be our first. This could be a first for you, but now we know it's a second podcast. It's still gonna be good, but
Still gonna be great.
it's not as fresh, and that's okay. No, just kidding. It's really great to have you here. We should start where we start with a lot of our guests, especially those we didn't know. Now, you are a friend of our friend Scott from our team. But we don't know you. So we should get to know you a little bit. Tell us, what was your journey? And you can go back as far, you can go back to birth if you'd like. But what was the journey that led you up to found Finden Marketing?
Yeah. I lived in an entrepreneurial family. My dad owns a computer company that does like telecommunications and phones down in Rochester, Minnesota. And I always knew that I liked that, but I didn't know what that was. So I graduated high school and was like, hey, that must be computers. He owns a computer company. I like that rock and roll. So I went to Mankato State University, and that's where I met Scott. We played the drums together. And Scott was a lot better than me. You can ask anybody. He's a legend. And I did computer classes and was horrible at them. Like the technical side of it, of all of the numbers and the math, it was not for me. And I was dating this girl at the time, and she was like, "Hey, come to Duluth instead. It's a lot cooler." And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds amazing." So transferred for a girl. Girl broke up with me like a week before we got to college.
Uh-oh.
Typical story. But luckily I lost the girl, but fell in love with the city. So absolutely fell in love with Duluth. It's a beautiful town. And started going to UMD. Within the first week, I realized like, hey, I don't like computers. Like computers are neat, like they're great, but I don't like building them. I don't like the code behind them. I like the other part about entrepreneurship, the starting things. And I bumped into this guy on my like freshman dorm floor, and he was like, "Hey man, do you like movies?" And I was like, "Yeah, I like movies. Do you like movies?" And we ended up starting a club at UMD called the League of Extraordinary Film Critics, which is just a bunch of people that got together and they watched movies and then they complained about them. And that really sparked my entrepreneurial spirit, where I was like running. I actually, by the end of college, I became like the consultant for clubs, where people would come to me when they wanted to start a club, because I knew all the rules, because I had started like seven or eight of them. And so that got me kind of known in the area as like this mover and shaker. And I started working at an incubator out of college that took businesses like from idea phase to like stage A or B funding, kind of like Shark Tank, where an investor comes in, gives them money, and then takes a percent. And we were doing a bunch of cool things, including an app. Our big client was an app called Platonic, which was like Tinder, but for friends, where like there was no romance, but you could connect with people and go swimming or go play pickleball. And then the pandemic hit. So an app where you get together in big groups and have fun did not do very well. And so it ended up the incubator went out of business, and that started really my first entrepreneurial venture, which was partnering with one of the other clients of the incubator, which super cool idea. It ended up getting acquired, but it took an invasive species called the lionfish, where if you've ever heard of them, they're destroying the Belizean coral reef, and created a mass food supply for it, where basically we started selling the food to local restaurants and things like that. and then used part of the proceeds to restore the coral reef. So the problem became the solution. And out of that, I met my good buddy and future business partner, a guy named Josh, who was doing online ads, Facebook, Google, all of that jazz. Really like the managing millions a month and just doing crazy things on his own. And then my other business partner is a guy named Benji, and he was Chris Lindahl's head graphic designer, doing all of the billboards. If you're in Minnesota, if you're not in Minnesota, you probably don't know, but the Minnesotans out there are like, that guy's, he has, I think, over 500 billboards in Minnesota, all the same thing.
Hmm.
And so that really led to the start of Finden of like, hey, you guys are doing these cool things. I really liked what I was doing, but after the acquisition was on my own. And so we just kind of came together to offer a wide range of services to small to mid-sized businesses. Um, yeah, so that's kind of the journey of Finden starting. It means to find in German. And so we help our clients find their brand, their clients, their X, Y, and Z.
Awesome. It is interesting, just so you know, you are not the first marketing CEO that we have talked to this year that became a marketing CEO because of a girl. I just want to, I'm starting to see that there might be a trend out there.
A little bit of an
That,
I
alarming
think so.
pattern now that we have
right.
identified. So, when exactly was Finden founded?
It was founded right in the middle of the pandemic in
Okay.
2020. We
Mm.
all three of us had nothing better to do with our days. So we are like, why
Sure.
don't we just start a marketing agency?
Yeah, why not?
And here we are 5 years later, and we actually just acquired another marketing agency. So we're growing, which is awesome to see.
Super cool. So a couple of questions. First off, just like generally, how's it been? How's it going since COVID, since 2020? I mean, a tricky time to start anything new, but a lot of the world was kind of getting, you know, the paper was wrinkly and we were trying to smooth it out for a bit there for a couple of years. So like, yeah, what's changed maybe instead of how's it going? Because that's a bit of a wide open question, but like, what's changed over the course of the last 5 years for y'all?
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of crazy. So our first, like right when we started, we had no name. We were just three guys. So our first client was this brand that just started. They created a shower in a bag, and we were like, yeah, we'll do all of this for X amount of dollars. And we just didn't do the math right. So afterwards, we like last year we went back and looked, and we were like we were making $1.25 an hour for our work on that client. And it was like, so big thing that changed was we figured out how to price ourselves. That helped us dramatically. Really understanding who we work with best. I think a lot of marketing agencies, right when they start, they're like, anybody that will touch us, we'll work with. And we quickly found out that like there are a lot of people that we just don't work well with. Like we're not your traditional like there are certain brands, certain businesses that just don't fit our marketing style and don't understand what we do. So that was a big thing. And once we figured that one out, we really started to scale. Um, and so we really our main focus has been staying lean and mean as long as possible so we don't get that crazy overhead where we have to charge clients a bunch of money just to survive, like just to have a swanky office and
Mhm.
all of that stuff. So we've stayed really close to the chest on our budgets and have slowly figured out better pricing, but it's still a fraction of what some others charge. And really, one big thing that we identified was that small businesses, which was who we wanted to target, like didn't have the time to really they care, but they didn't have the time to care as much. So providing as much as we could do right in front of them, where it's, hey, here's an easy piece of paper that tells you everything you need to know. And so that's really helped us scale from the three-person agency to the bigger agency that we are today.
Mhm.
I
So,
was
oh, go ahead.
no, I
Are
was
you?
pausing because you looked like you had a question formulating.
I was going to steal your question, is what was happening. That's
Do
all.
it.
Formulated, but 3 days ago. So, okay. You mentioned some of your clients. Something that I found in doing my little bit of research about Finden was that had some specialty in marketing for millennials and Gen Z. Now, this is my perception of you, Andrew, based on what I know about the fact that you went to school with Scott. And I am assuming millennials and Gen Z, like that's your peer group.
100%. And that is really something when we started in our like Duluth area. We just saw so much bad marketing that was like they were trying to do social, but the social was like a billboard and it just didn't fit.
Mhm.
So we wanted to create authentic based marketing that really hits the audience that is probably one of the hardest to hit right now.
Mhm. So
Hmm.
what were some surprising insights marketing just to your peers? What did you learn? What have you learned from marketing to that group?
Yeah, a lot of business owners don't care. They think millennials and Gen Z are between the ages of 5 and 20, and they're like, well, they're not going to be buying my product. When in reality, millennials, I think they're up to 45 now. Like it is the market. But that was a big one where people were like, well, we don't really want to target them. So that was a big one. And then just I think people understanding that actually there was a lot of acceptance post COVID transitioning to digital. Like digital had a really nice opening when people couldn't go out, they couldn't look at
Mhm.
billboards, they couldn't do things like that. And so marketers really started to invest in that online focus. I think there's a lot of I almost over investation, if that's a word, investation, in online marketing nowadays, where people are putting their entire budgets and forgetting about your traditional media. But I think those were really the three things that like surprised me was that a lot of business owners just didn't know about how to market. They didn't know why to market, and they really didn't know like. And then they also just when they went in, they jumped head first rather than dipping a toe in.
Sure. Yeah. I feel like that like ever present challenge of like the balance of your spend and your time and all of that digital versus traditional and stuff. And also like what world are we living in where like we have to even separate those two, as like digital is the new and traditional is the old or something. Like digital's been around for some time now, right? So if it's not traditional or feeling traditional to you, you're probably just really behind, but that's
Yeah,
another point, I guess what I'm
yeah,
getting at though, because that's maybe just the easiest way to categorize certain kind of advertising
Mhm.
versus another. But anyway, that's a constant challenge. And for me, when the question might come up, like, I'm not sure where my spend should go or where my effort should go, or even as we're preparing our own budget and we're asking ourselves those questions, usually one um, uh, bit of information that can help get you to the answer is having an understanding of where your audience is, right? If your audience is typically spending time in digital channels, well, you might want to dedicate more of your time and spend there, right? Same thing other way around. Maybe it's a nice mix, whatever it might be. Do you get that same question from folks, or as you're helping your own clients, how are you helping them create that balance or answer that question for themselves?
Yeah, I 100%. I think one of the things that we really tout is mixing good looking design with analytics. Because once you dive deep in the analytics, you can find all of your answers of,
Mm,
hey, your market is mainly an older demographic. We should still should focus some on online to gain a new market, but this is where your people are, and really creating marketing where people are and understanding that there's there's multiple types of marketing where it's not just, hey, I want to click on this ad and make a sale. There's brand growth. There's
Mhm.
that long-term investment to be the choice for every time it comes up. Where when you have a leaky faucet, sure, you can go to Google and type in plumber Duluth or plumber insert area, but if you're the top of mind and you can beat out that search, you're going to win every time.
mm,
Yeah. Do you think, Andrew, that people have business owners have a hard time keeping those different types of marketing in their brain, that that feeling that, I did an ad and I did not immediately get calls. So your ad, it must be your ad, and not
Yeah,
that that the person that ad reached was getting, more of brand awareness, or, or just wasn't in the decision making phase, because right now all of their pipes are fine and I'm a plumber, you know.
yeah, yeah. And I think 100% where it's like, even if it's not, hey, well, what I've gotten a lot is, yeah, we tried that on our own and it didn't work.
Mm.
Or like, hey, I've done Google ads in the past and they just I didn't get any leads, but it was this guy, like this random person doing it that has no expertise. It would be like if I grabbed a plumber wrench and was like, I'm gonna fix my toilet. But I think with the low barrier of entry that marketing is, where anybody could grab a laptop and say, I'm a marketer, and quote unquote be a marketer, that those things that can set you apart are really what makes agencies thrive or agencies die.
Mm.
But then for us, kind of going back on that question, we actually created like an internal calculator that we use where it's, hey, I have 50,000 a month for marketing budget. And we have a calculator that based on their size, how much they want to grow, their target demo, it splits out into different spends so that
mm,
we can give them you should probably spend about 5,000 here, 2,000 here, 1,000 here, because like you're saying, it's insane how many opportunities there are for people with marketing, from billboards, posters to OTT, radio ads. You could even do a blimp ad. Like
Mm.
the amount of random advertising that the American consumer gets every day is staggering.
Right.
So finding that thing that breaks the void is becoming harder and harder,
Mhm.
as especially the younger demographic starts to really fight ads.
mm,
Where there are so many people that I talk to that are my age or younger that are like, yeah, I just skipped the first three on Google because I don't want to, like, I don't want to work with someone that pays. So it's that weird thing where it's like organic SEO might beat out that paid side because the younger demographics avoiding it,
Mm.
slash just the transition of uh, younger consumers from traditional Google search to TikTok to Instagram, where they're not even getting information from your traditional sources that were popular 45 years ago.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And oh, sorry.
let's throw AI search and, even AI
Mm.
100%.
supported results in Google into that mix, right? I think everything that you're saying aligns with something that you said earlier about, kind of like being part of the consideration, or maybe even being the decision before the search even happens, and I
Yeah.
think that's right on the same page as those folks that might be intentionally skipping the top few listings because they don't want to support the company that just has the huge advertising budget, right? They want to support the companies that are doing things that make them top of mind before they even open up the search browser, and that's that's like the heart of like everything that we're trying to do based on what we know about you. It sounds like it's at the heart of everything you're trying to do. So
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Sorry to cut you off, Sue.
That's okay. I was triggered by something else he said, where you were talking, Andrew, about all of the different options, and I had a little bit of a flashback to when I was a purchaser of that stuff, and my experience, and I think this is probably something that is a real pain, especially to entrepreneurs. Um, all of those different types of media, billboards, and at that time it was billboards, radio, things scratched into a cave wall. I don't know what it was, but it was traditional media. They all had marketers on their team who would sell you their ads and tell you, like, that is the most important thing. That is where your audience is. We have this share of your audience. And now that has, that has grown exponentially. All of the different businesses that have marketers that are selling their product as the number one thing that someone should be
Yeah.
doing. And there's a part of that for me reinforces what we in agencies are doing, which is uh, part of our part of our job is to cut through that noise
Mhm.
and help explain to people, hey, you know what? They're telling you have to do all of those digital ads because they only do digital ads.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's crazy how many like we do a decent amount of website design, and a lot of our philosophy is we don't want to get people stuck in contracts. Like we want you to like us. So we're not that one that's like, hey, you're stuck in a contract with us for the next 10 years. We're not going to touch your website, but you can't let anybody else touch it, yada yada. And it's crazy how many clients come to us and they're like, they get those spam emails where it's like, your website is X, Y, and Z. And they're like, hey, what is this? And we're like, it's just like they trust almost anything they see online as being like, oh, we need to do this. So for me, one of my favorite things that somebody was telling me is they're like, yeah, you guys are like the declutterers of marketing. Like you just help move things around to make it where it actually makes sense.
love that. I
Well,
love that.
yeah,
That must feel good.
yeah.
Mm.
So, speaking of philosophies, we're back. You can see how well, Andrew, that we get back on our notes. Something that struck me when I was doing research on Finden was that Finden and Exclamation are really committed to this idea that marketing needs to be affordable. And you reinforce that in what you're saying today. Uh, and you talked about some of the overhead, staying lean and mean. What are some other ways that you manage costs or build your services so that you can keep that stuff affordable to your friends and your neighbors and the people that really need it?
Definitely. Yeah. So the first thing that we did right when we started was we still accept the agency rate. So if we're buying radio ads, billboards, things like that, we'll take the agency rate and then we just pass it along to the consumer. So working with us, you save 15% off of normal box rate. And really, we're getting paid for doing the work with our complete marketing packages,
Mm,
so it's no, it just fits. So the biggest thing that we focus on are those like cost savers of, hey, because you're working with us, you also get bonus, bonus, bonus. And we've made different partnerships with different local news medias, things like that, that allows that to be a bigger and bigger chunk as we continue to grow. They give us better rates. And then the other thing is just like once you've seen something, you know how to fix it. So rather than having one person do the website, one person do the ads, one person do that, when we're able to put everything together, it streamlines the process, making it where it takes us less hours to do something so that we can, in theory, like charge less because it's taking us less and less time.
Mm.
But yeah, really just the streamlining of processes, and then with our complete marketing package, we've made it where it's basically equivalent to depending on the level, a 3 to 6 person marketing team for a fraction of the cost. So you get the power of an internal team without the expense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a similar model to us. And, I think like as the world continues to shift and, people's priorities and budgets and all of that changes, like there's a space for agencies like us where, small to medium sized businesses are, I mean, they're living on the razor's edge of their budgets and deciding whether or not to hire someone. I think there was this wave. Yeah, I don't have exact years or any data to back up this point here, but I feel like I saw it happening, and hopefully y'all feel the same way. If not, check me. I need to be checked. There was this wave like from, I don't know, like mid to late 90s. Andrew, you're probably not even old enough to
Before you
know
were
about
born,
this,
Andrew.
to
I would be like
like,
4.
yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
you advertiser for life, right?
exactly.
From about that timeline to maybe when you were a bit older, maybe in those college or just after college years, where the solution to I need to do more marketing, I need to do marketing better is I need to hire a marketer, like have them in house, pay that person salary, benefits, all of that. And there are plenty of instances where that's exactly what that business needs to do. They need to have an in-house resource, they need,
Mhm.
or an in-house team, whatever. And of course, some bigger corporations, they need more than one person, but
Mhm.
even some small to medium sized businesses, they need, more than just one person that has marketing in their title, but they're also doing, HR and three other things too, right? But I do feel like as maybe like the outsourcing wave of like sending your call center offshore and other aspects of your business internationally or anywhere that you could get it done cheaper. I do feel like more and more businesses now are open to at least having that second thought before hiring someone like, okay, yeah, I could hire someone and pay them, after benefits and everything, 60, 70 grand a year, whatever. Or I could pay an agency 50 and, you know, have access to a broader team with more expertise and skills, maybe have access to things like you were saying, like discounts on the ad spend and things like that because of partnerships and everything else that an agency makes possible. So, um, are you feeling the same thing? Are you seeing the same thing? Are you hearing the same feedback from your clients and prospects?
Yeah, no, I would say you're spot on. And I think the biggest thing that this, like we were talking earlier, the growth of just what marketing is that one person can't handle it all. You can't be an expert in SEO and online ads and design, and it just like if you are, like we'll hire you on the spot. But
Yeah.
like it just you can't find, especially at the price range we're talking of, that 70, 80,000. So by the time you're hiring someone, you're hiring an entry level person that's still like learning how to play the game,
Mhm.
and you're paying them to learn compared to hiring an agency that knows exactly what they're doing and has everything set that it's just you're running rather than growing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. So, your website also mentions that you focus on fostering authentic relationships. Can you describe like how do you accomplish that? How do you keep it top of mind? How does that focus of yours to foster authentic relationships stay an authentic effort for your team and not just something that lives on your website?
Definitely. Yeah. So one of the biggest things that we focus on is really implementing ourselves as someone's marketing department. So there are multiple people that just know me. They don't know me as Finden. They know me as the North Shore Inline Marathon guy, or the roller, like the like they know me as my client because we don't care about titles. Like it's like we're implementing, we're doing exactly. And so with that, we make it a main focus to understand the business almost as well as the owner. Owner is always going to understand the business more, but like we want to be up to date on all the knowledge. We want to be really giving them options rather than them saying like, well, this is coming up in the industry. We should look into that.
Mhm.
Really, research and passion are the two things that we really focus on to implement ourselves as that authenticity. And really spending, when we're onboarding, spending time to understand what the brand is, what it means, what is its words, what don't you say, like how is it, what's the vibe, and creating that copy around it. Where I think in the day of AI, it grinds my gears seeing multi-billion-dollar brands that just are copy and pasting chat stuff onto social and onto like
Mhm.
seeing the little dash just irks me where it's like you have an entire team focused on this one social media piece and you're just going to let chat make it for you. So I think those are the things I do. And right when chat started, we were definitely in that same boat where we were like, wow, this thing's amazing. And we definitely use AI as a tool. But focusing on that human voice, human touch, and the special sauce that got that business to be where it is today, and
Mhm.
continue using that sauce to make a nice gumbo or stew.
Well, now I'm hungry. That's an awesome
I know.
analogy. Yeah. No, I mean, our work would be more exhausting than it already naturally is if we weren't able to keep the focus on the heart of what we do, the heart of why we do it, the curiosity that comes with like wanting to understand how a client's business works, what their next steps are, what their vision is, and all of those things that can really help keep our work human and not just something that anybody could plug in the right prompt and get, what they think might help them or work for them.
For sure.
So stuff's really important.
So we are getting very close to time to wrap up here. What did we miss, Andrew? I know what we missed. Ben,
Oh
we were going
yeah.
to talk about your restaurants.
Speaking of being
Oh
hungry,
yeah.
yeah, in
That was the
our
Yeah.
other thing. That's what we missed.
before
So
we
Oh,
hit
definitely.
in
record,
addition, apparently, in addition to
yeah.
being the CEO of a marketing agency, did you say you own a few restaurants? Was that
Yeah,
how
at
you
the
said it?
moment we have three a restaurant, two ice cream shops, a gourmet popcorn company, and a charcuterie company are our
Dang.
side projects. So the beauty, and hear me out, on a marketing side, the beauty is when you fully own a client, you can do whatever you want. You can test things, you can throw the spaghetti, and if it doesn't work, all you have to blame is yourself, where you don't have to go back to the client and be like, hey, we wasted a little bit of your money. So that kind of sparked it a little bit and again, I'm a super entrepreneurial guy. I also started a banana run where everybody's dressed in a banana costume and gets chased by a gorilla, raising money for charity, of course. And so, like, yeah, we just it was an already standing restaurant in Duluth, and it the owner wanted to retire, and it just kind of fell into my lap, and so. I now own a bunch of random stuff off of it. Just kind of started we started with two and then started a breakfast restaurant with the ice cream shop. Breakfast was a bad idea. If anybody's listening thinking I'm going to start a breakfast shop, don't do it. And then we started a burger shop, which goes a lot better with ice cream. And so we did that. And then that kind of sparked the charcuterie idea. And then because of that, people reached out to us and were like, hey, do you want to buy our gourmet popcorn company? And so it's a weird thing where once you buy one, you start to get more and more people coming at you saying like, hey, you should buy my next thing.
Yeah. It's a
So,
good
but
time. It's a good time for those generations of people that are kind of getting out of businesses right now, and for people that seem to be willing and able to take new things on and try new things. So good on you for giving it a shot.
hey, it's been a fun adventure where I get to actually put my money where my mouth is, where we can tell people, hey, our agency will do X, Y, and Z, but when it's your own money and your own companies, it makes it a lot more like tried and true.
Hmm.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, so how can people learn more about you? Listen, how can we get a hold of some of this popcorn? Why is there
Yeah.
not charcuterie here? What, how can we connect people with what you're doing, Andrew?
Yeah, so Finden Marketing, you can find us online at findenmarketing.com or Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Myself, Andrew Weisz on LinkedIn. Chili Billy's Frozen Yogurt are the two ice cream shops. You can find those at chilibillys.com. Madhouse Burgers is our burger shop. That's at madhouseburgers.com. I love the good, simple URLs. So all of them are.
Nice. Yeah.
Then we have Duluth Candy Co., which was the candy company turned gourmet popcorn company. That one's duluthcandyco.com. And then North Shore Charcuterie, which does small and medium-sized charcuterie spreads. I just got married and they did my wedding, so also a perk. We had my ice cream for dessert, the charcuterie board as an appetizer. So gotta save some major change on that.
Heck yeah. Perk the job. Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. Well,
So
thanks for
yeah,
all that. We'll definitely share some links out. Really cool to hear your story and the diversity of everything that you're doing, both on the marketing side and the food side too.
for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, and I look forward to listening to this in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, before we go, we're going to shift to our real quick something awesome segment where we share a cool recommendation, something we've experienced lately, maybe a nice book you've read, anything like that, and give our audience some extra brain food before we sign off. So I'm going to kick it off. Speaking of good books that you've read, now I did the audio book, so I still count it as reading a book, but um, I listened to a really cool book that I had like seen around town and heard people talking about because the author is actually local here in central Wisconsin. We're in Marshfield. But the author of this book called Tailspin, his name's John Armbruster. He's from Chile, which is a little town just west of Marshfield. Um, he actually graduated from Marshfield High School in 1984, I think.
84, I think.
But he wrote a book that's the story of a World War II gunner who was shot down, and he survived a 4 mile fall into the woods in Germany. And the book is both about that incredible story, not only the fall, but everything about his life before his military service and how his life was affected after that, which is amazing. And then, kind of interesting, no spoilers, but he kind of weaves in his own story with his wife's battle with cancer alongside this war hero story. And it's one of those stories that there's no, even though there's two totally different stories happening at the same time, there's no trouble following. And in fact, like hearing what both of them are kind of dealing with along the way, it's like one of those things where even though both things happen at different moments in time, they happen to two totally different families, two totally different people. It's almost like the universe has these people like connected, So just a really cool, easy. It was an easy listen. I imagine it's a really easy read, and just an incredible story. I mean, the fact that anyone can survive anything like that is amazing, and physically, but then of course everything that comes along with it, mentally, emotionally, and all that. So Super cool. It's called Tailspin. We'll share a link. John Armbruster is the name of the author. Worth the read for sure.
Sure.
All right, Andrew, you're up. You got anything for us?
Oh yeah. I just finished the show Sticks, which is on Apple TV. It's a golfing show, super
Hmm.
good. If you want some like feel good Karate Kid, like mentor, mentee kind of vibes. But like my go-to book that I've been reading is a book called Purple Cow. And I don't really even know how to explain it, but it's just a really a way of thinking outside of the box to um, get get things done. And it's kind of, I read it first when I was in college, and it kind of guided the way that I have lived both my life and kind of my marketing strategies for clients. So it's like,
Yeah.
and it's one of those perfect like 60-page books where you're not like a 500-page novel. So it just gives you the stuff and lets you go on with your life.
Yeah. That's Seth Godin or Godin, however you say his last
Yeah,
name,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of
Yeah.
my favorite authors.
Yes. Yeah. Any marketer should, any book with his name on it is worth your read if you're in marketing for sure.
Yeah, just buy
100%.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I wrote this down. I don't know why I'm saying it out loud, but it just occurred we get so many recommendations for books. We need to do a book list. We need to
Yeah,
publish a
for
book
sure.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right
So
next to
we
Oprah's.
Yes,
Yeah. There we
yeah.
go.
And I
Yeah,
think it would be naturally next to Oprah's. I think
She'd
we would
probably
publish
endorse it.
it,
It's
Andrew,
good.
and people would be
exactly.
like, "Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
We're going to put this here."
Yeah.
Yes. All right, my recommendation is uh, you don't have a lot of time because the warm weather, I think, is gone, but is certainly the season is ramping down. But next summer, go to American Players Theater if you enjoy theater. So, American Players Theater is in Spring Green in the beautiful Driftless region of Wisconsin. And they have an open air theater. My brother and I went last week, and saw Midsummer Night's Dream
Hmm.
and you're out under the stars. And it was very cold, but it was an amazing show, beautiful venue. You park at the bottom of the hill and then you sort of go up through the woods. You can picnic there ahead of time. Just really great experience. So, and no more than going to theater anywhere.
Yeah.
So, beautiful venue, amazing experience, and the show was excellent. So, that is my American Players Theater. It's been around a long, long time, but I've never been. So,
Awesome. Great
yeah.
recommendation. I've never even heard of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. But you also weren't a theater nerd when you were
I
kids.
wasn't. No,
So,
sorry.
that's for my theater nerds. But other people, they don't check your
They don't check
credentials when you
your
walk
theater
in.
nerd ID card or anything.
Right. Right. They don't make you show if you were in the thespian club in high school. So, Andrew, thank you so much for that delightful conversation. So interesting. It was so great connecting with you today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We really appreciate all of the time you spent with us. And listeners, we appreciate the time you spend with us as well. You can always catch up. And Andrew, you can catch up too. Catch up on all of our podcasts on your favorite podcast app, or you can find them on our blog at exclamationqso.com/blog.
Thanks, friends, for tuning in. Be awesome and see you next time. The Awsomology podcast is a production of Exclamation Services. Executive producers are myself, Ben Bauer, and my friend, Suzanne Campbell.
Thanks to Kyla Ganther for our show artwork, Scott Sager for booking our guests, and Alex Westerhausen for social media support.